Hello, this episode is all about oregano, how to propagate and grow oregano, what is the difference between marjoram and oregano, and how to use this wonderful herb. Oregano grows really well in pots. To say it's a great ground cover is a little of a stretch, but it will grow very well in amongst other plants and add to a meadow garden or a messy border. You can grow oregano from seed, cuttings, or by division. If you buy a pot of oregano and let it go to seed, you will find oregano in the strangest places in your garden. It is a pretty hardy plant and easily self-seeds. If you're growing oregano by seed, you plant to a depth of about 1 centimetre, and you can either buy a packet of seeds or it's easily propagated from the flower heads. For cuttings, take a 5 to 10 centimetre woody stem. This is a soft stem and you're likely to have a little less luck. The best time to take an oregano cutting is in autumn when the stem is woody, but same principle applies. Cut the stem to about 5 to 10 centimetres, strip the leaves except for the top, and put it in the pot. You can dip the stem in rooting hormone or honey, and that will give it a better chance to propagate. Or take lots of cuttings and try your luck. And division of an existing plant is really one of the easiest ways to get oregano. So if you know somebody with a lot of plants, ask them, can you dig up a little bit and divide the roots and repot the plant, and it grows very easily. So I have oregano self-seeding into my front yard, but I want to create a little herb garden by my espalier trees, and I just simply dug up part of the plant, separated it, put it into the soil, watered it, and the plant did not look back. Oregano likes a nice, moist, well-drained soil. For a cool climate such as mine, they are frost sensitive, and I find they die off in winter, but self-seed and shoot back up in early spring. Once established, they don't require very much water at all, perhaps once a week, or in a very dry, hot spell, a bit of water helps. In a pot, they will require watering once or twice a week, depending on what time of year it is. I don't actually bother fertilizing. If you feel that is needed in your plant, maybe every 2 or 3 months, some worm juice or some liquid fertilizer, some power feed. If you're lucky enough for your plant to survive winter, you can harvest all year round. I tend to harvest when the plant is prolific and do a little bit of drying of the plant for my winter period. The best time to harvest for the drying of the oregano leaves is just before they flower. You can have a go at sun-drying herbs, and that can work quite well, but one of the best ways to dry oregano is simply in a low oven. Try and choose leaves of a similar size, lay them out on some brown paper. The oven should be about 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius. Preheat the oven, turn the oven off, and then place the herbs in to dry for about an hour. They should be nice and crisp and not moist, and they last up to about 6 months in the jar. Oregano is actually one of the very few herbs where the flavour is more intense when it's dried. And so you'll see a lot of recipes specifying dried oregano rather than the fresh. Oregano is great to grow amongst other plants and in your vegetable garden as they attract beneficial insects. Cucumbers, zucchini, cabbage, beans all love oregano. In fact, oregano is a great soil conditioner in that it actually improves the quality of the soil around it. Another good companion thing about oregano is that it's said to ward off the white cabbage moth. It's supposed to be very good for chickens, and I occasionally pot some up and just put it in their pen. They don't always eat it, but occasionally they'll have a good go at it, so it must be good in some way. You can keep the weeds down around your oregano plant by using mulch, especially when you've just planted. There is a bit of confusion as to the difference between oregano and marjoram. In fact, marjoram is a subspecies of oregano, and they do have different flavour profiles and also growing conditions. I find marjoram much more sensitive to its environment and oregano much more hardy. Distinguishing between oregano and marjoram is a common question. And it is in the realm of the botanist to really distinguish between all the different varieties of marjoram and oregano. And I think the easiest way is possibly to remember where you planted your marjoram and oregano and keep using them. However, if you have mixed them up, I think the leaves are the easiest way to identify between the two. Oregano's leaves are darker, thicker, slightly larger, and they're also coarser, fuzzier. In showing you those images of my oregano, I do suspect I've had massive cross-pollination. My oregano has been self-seeding for some time, so I don't know whether I've got a pure oregano or not. So marjoram is often known as sweet marjoram, and I often find the leaves lighter green, smaller, got a pointier end. Sweet marjoram also grows in a more compact kind of way and almost looks more like a ground cover. The stems are finer and the leaves tend towards growing more towards the end of the stem. The difference in flavour is that oregano has a strong, bitter, spicy flavour, and marjoram has a more citrus, piney flavour. And if you're worried about which one to use, they're not quite interchangeable, and the best way to know which herb to use is use whichever one the recipe specifies. Fresh marjoram works beautifully on pizza. I think it is that pizza flavour that is very marjoram, and oregano works brilliantly in cooked dishes. In this episode I'm going to cook a spicy pumpkin chickpea soup with oregano. And if you're shopping for either marjoram or oregano or both and wondering about how many you should buy, really one of each is sufficient for your needs. The plant grows quite prolifically. It'll probably be the last time you ever need to buy it, because if you let it go to seed, you'll find it everywhere in your garden. Some people say the best flavour is if you don't cook the oregano or marjoram but just warm it through at the end. Well, I highly recommend oregano. It is a beautiful permaculture plant. It attracts insects, it conditions the soil, it grows in amongst other plants and flowers and looks very beautiful at that time. It doesn't take over and choke out other plants. It's very gentle with its other companions, and it is great just to have on hand if you're cooking, and one pot is generally enough for your cooking needs. What more could you want? Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the beautiful comments and subscriptions, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye.